Boston Celtics are entering a critical moment in the 2025-2026 season, and every decision from here on carries weight. With Jayson Tatum still recovering, the team is strong enough to stay competitive, but everyone watching can feel that something is missing. That gap at the center position continues to dominate every conversation around the lineup. And now, one name is becoming louder than all the others: Nic Claxton. The possible addition of Claxton has created urgency across the fanbase and inside league circles, because this move could define how far Boston can go the moment Tatum is back. Reports suggest that the Celtics could trade Anthony Simons and a first-round pick for Claxton. And at first glance, it seems almost too perfect. Claxton is young, athletic, and productive. He protects the rim, defends guards on switches, rebounds with energy, and fits the pace of modern basketball. More than that, he is having one of the strongest starts of his career. All of these factors push the idea that Boston should take the final step and bring him in as the missing interior anchor. The emotional part of the discussion says act now before the opportunity disappears. But there is a deeper layer to this conversation, and it is impossible to ignore. Claxton helps, but does he elevate the Celtics enough to justify the price? Boston would be giving up Simons, a guard who remains one of the most natural scorers on the roster, and whose rhythm is only beginning to evolve this season. And they would be giving up a first-round pick on top of that. At the exact moment when Boston's window could expand with Tatum healthy again, flexibility becomes more valuable, not less. And that is what makes this debate so intense. Internally, Boston has seen real development from Neemias Queta and Luka Garza. Josh Minott has been a strong addition. The unit is not elite, but it is functional and trending upward. There is a real argument that continuity and internal growth might serve the Celtics better than a major midseason shakeup that removes scoring and a future asset. At the same time, Claxton offers something none of those players can guarantee. He has already proven he can anchor a playoff defense and handle the toughest matchups in the paint. Which path is right? That is where the urgency rises even more. The Celtics are close enough to contention that a single elite piece could redefine everything once Tatum returns. Yet they are also close enough that giving up too much could damage their long-term ceiling. All signs point to the same pressure point. With the trade deadline approaching, Boston has to decide whether the possible arrival of Nic Claxton is worth the price, and whether this move is the key that finally completes the roster or a gamble that costs more than it returns. Will Brad Stevens actually push the button and bring Nic Claxton to Boston right when the championship window is about to open wider than ever? The NBA world woke up today with one of the most shocking possibilities of the entire season. A scenario that almost no one in Boston ever expected to hear again. A scenario that challenges emotions, history, and logic at the same time. The possible return of Kyrie Irving to the Boston Celtics. Not as a rumor thrown in the air, but as a real trade framework being discussed after the firing of Nico Harrison in Dallas on Tuesday. The Mavericks are under pressure to reset their franchise around Cooper Flag, and that alone has opened a door that nobody thought would ever open again for Boston. As surprising as it sounds, the idea has gained traction because the move would solve multiple issues at once. Boston needs frontcourt help, and Daniel Gafford would instantly take control of the paint. Boston needs financial flexibility, and moving Jaylen Brown's $236 million through 2028-2029 in exchange for Kyrie Irving's $76 million through 2027-2028, plus a cheaper contract, would create future space. And Boston wants to remain a contender the moment Jayson Tatum returns, and the pairing of Tatum, Derrick White, and Irving would immediately put the Celtics back on the championship radar. It is not just emotion. There is a real strategic argument behind this idea. But here is where things become even more intense. A Kyrie return would not only reshape Boston's rotation and unlock an offensively explosive lineup, it would also test the franchise culturally in a way no other move could. Celtics fans still remember the tension, the disappointment, and the way things ended the last time. The locker room dynamic would change instantly. The media pressure would double. Social media would explode. And yet, from a pure basketball standpoint, there is no denying that a healthy Kyrie Irving with Jayson Tatum and Daniel Gafford gives Boston a roster that could dominate a weakened Eastern Conference right away. The question is no longer whether the move makes basketball sense. The question is whether Boston has the courage to make the move that they know would instantly raise their ceiling. And that brings us to the real suspense. The trade deadline is approaching. Brad Stevens is staring at a choice that could be career-defining. The path is clear. Trade for Kyrie and build a super team again. Or hold on to Jaylen Brown and hope the current core is enough. This moment could determine whether the next chapter is a return to the NBA Finals or another painful year of being almost good enough. So here is the question that nobody ever thought Boston would face again. Will the Celtics actually bring Kyrie Irving back to Boston and take the biggest swing of the 2025-2026 season to chase a championship right now? If you want to follow every update on this dramatic situation, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button so you never miss the next chapter of this story. The Boston Celtics fanbase is holding its breath because the future of this roster may depend on one single move. The talk around the league is rising fast, and every insider agrees on one thing. If the Celtics really want to reset the luxury tax and build the strongest possible team for the next title run, the exit of Anthony Simons might be unavoidable. This situation is not just financial, it is strategic, it is urgent, and it could decide the next chapter of Boston basketball. Before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the hype button so you don't miss any breaking developments about this Celtics roster. Now, here is where everything gains speed. Boston has only one real escape route from the luxury tax. The Brooklyn Nets are the only franchise in the league capable of absorbing a significant salary right now, and they are entering rebuilding mode at full force. While they look for draft capital and flexibility, they are sitting on a center who could completely transform the Celtics. Nicholas Claxton, an elite rim protector averaging over 15 points, 7 rebounds, more than 3 assists, plus high-level defensive numbers, is right there for any contender bold enough to make the call. And when you look at the direction of the Celtics, it becomes almost impossible to ignore that this might be the perfect match. Simons is in the final year of his contract and does not represent a long-term future in Boston. He wants a starting role, he wants usage, and that is not what Joe Mazzulla needs when games matter in the postseason. The Celtics were already shopping him during the offseason, and the conversation will resurface before the trade deadline. Brooklyn, meanwhile, would take Simons and his expiring contract if Boston attaches a first-round pick, but the conversation gets deeper than that. To get fully under the tax, the Celtics might need to sacrifice Sam Hauser as well, and that is where emotions collide with cold business. Because if Boston moves Simons, Hauser, and a first-round pick in exchange for Claxton, they do not just save $12.4 million. They escape the repeater penalty entirely. They flip the luxury tax into a payout from non-tax teams, and they open the door for another roster upgrade when Jayson Tatum returns. Claxton's contract decreases from over $23.1 million next season down to $20.9 million in the 2027-2028 season. That slow decline creates flexibility that Brad Stevens rarely has at his disposal. And more importantly, Claxton finally gives Boston the physical inside presence that this roster does not have. Mazzulla could go 5 out when the matchup demands it, and he could go big when the playoffs turn into a battle inside. It is the kind of piece that wins you a long series against teams with elite big men. The Boston Celtics will be aggressive before the deadline. They know this year is a unique window to rebuild the books while staying competitive. They know next season, when Tatum is fully back, the championship window will open in full. And they know the only team that can take Simons and fix their center problem at the same time is the Brooklyn Nets. The pressure is building, the trade market is heating up, and time is running fast. The question now is the one that defines everything. Will the Boston Celtics actually pull the trigger and send Anthony Simons away to bring Nicholas Claxton to Boston right when the title window is about to reopen?